Bring in show music, please.
This is Squawk Pod, and I'm CNBC producer Cameron Costa. On today's episode, the scoop that has Wall Street and the Hill buzzing. Donald Trump considering an advisory role for Elon Musk if he wins the presidency. Wall Street Journal reporter Emily Glazer with her story.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk both don't want to fully show their cards. They could both get a lot out of this potential alliance. Trump needs voters. He needs money. Elon wants influence.
And Foot Locker's lace-up plan well underway. CEO and boardroom veteran Mary Dillon on her strategy and her strategic partners, like Nike.
I think they've got some exciting things today and coming in the future as we get into the Olympics and into next year.
We all wear them, but for different things.
We're going to call you the active athlete. That's a category
that might be overstating.
Those stories, but first, Nelson Peltz sells out of Disney, and McDonald's corporate is firing back at complaints about high prices.
Large fry.
I don't know if it's large fries, Big Mac fries, and
I think it's large everything.
It's Thursday, May 30th, and Squawk Pod begins right now.
Stand Becky by in 3, 2, 1. Cue, please.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. We are live from the NASDAQ market site in Times Square. I'm Becky Quick, along with Joe Kernen and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you. Happy Monday.
Ha! Happy
Thursday.
That's the only saving grace.
Yep.
That is a short week.
Well, no,
Gonna
I'm
be back
here,
in a
and
couple of
it's, if I can get this, get tomorrow. You know, it is a little bit of a shock.
Ease your way back in.
It's a little bit of a shock. It's okay, though. I mean, there's, it's not like politically there's anything happening that it's divisive or anything with the stock market down 1,500 points in 3 days or something.
And here we are this morning with some more losses.
It's
kind of
weird, though.
up.
The Dow's going to be down, but it's like 50 points and 40 points in one stock.
Well, and it's also if you're looking at the Dow, it's been down, but it's only 4% from an all-time high.
Right, and it's been a good month.
Averages. Yes,
good month for everybody.
Well,
for May.
I think
2% for the Dow.
We're on track for the Nasdaq to be break 5-week winning streak, or to break a 5-week winning streak. The S&P 500 to break
not
a
month,
5 weeks of
I mean, the Nasdaq's up 6% for the month or something, isn't it?
The Nasdaq month to date up 8%.
8%.
Yeah.
Meantime, activist investor Nelson Peltz now selling his entire stake in Disney. This is a person familiar with the matter telling CNBC. Scott Watman reported late yesterday that selling price was roughly $120 per share, netting Peltz about $1 billion on his position. The exit coming weeks after Peltz's Trian partners lost a proxy battle with Disney and shareholders reelected the company's full slate of board of nominees. Here's Peltz on CNBC after that defeat.
I hope Bob can keep his promises. I hope they can do all the things they assured us they were going to do. And we'll only watch and wait. If they do it, they won't hear from me again. If they don't, Jim, you may be seeing me on your show next year doing this same thing again.
So Nelson's gone for now, but I still think if the price were to come down and he thought there was another entry point,
It has come down.
He would be gone. No, I know, but the question is, will he come back?
But he sold it at 120.
I know.
How lucky is he?
Right. He made $1 billion. That's a pretty.
But I'm saying the question is how much it would have to come down
but
if you were to try to come back. That was
maybe enough already. But how many shares did he have total? I'm just trying to figure out where his entry price was.
Personally, didn't have a ton of them, but remember he wrapped it up with Ike Perlmutter to be.
But I'm just wondering if because he bought at 100, I don't know if he would have made any money at all. It hasn't, obviously the promise of all these things Iger is doing is running headlong into the industry-wide, whatever you want to call it.
How do you figure out how to make money on content?
Right, but it was a $200 stock, and it's half that now. And if he made money at 120, he's probably, that's pretty good timing for him to get out at 120.
Yeah.
With that all the way down at, it's 20% from here.
Yeah, he didn't sound in that clip like he was planning on selling all of it, but here we go. Speaking of activist battles, an update on yesterday's annual meeting at Exxon. Shareholders voted in line with all board recommendations, backing the re-election of the 12 directors. In a statement, the company said investors sent a powerful message that rules and value creation matter. The company said that the vote signals a belief that Exxon is on the right track. Yesterday, we had a series of people who were on talking about this. The CalPERS.
Right.
the head of CalPERS,
who was fighting
talking about this, saying that she was going to vote against those directors as a complaint, basically being lodged for what they're doing with continuing to sue these activist investors who kept bringing proxy questions, even when those questions were removed. Exxon has said that it would like to see the law kind of decide on new SEC regulations from a couple of years ago. We've played this out.
For the most part, managements usually win these situations. Most shareholders, for better or worse, go along with management. I think it'll be very interesting. I mean, the next big proxy battle, which I thought was the big news actually that came out of that interview yesterday with CalPERS, was they're going to plan to vote against Elon Musk's pay package.
As of today, minus the conversation that is yet to happen with Tesla, we would not be voting in favor of that proposal. We do not believe that the compensation is commensurate with the performance of the company.
It's going to be very interesting to see whether people go along with management, Tesla obviously backing management and the pay package, or whether we're going to start to see more dissenting voices and what that means.
I mean, what was interesting on the vote on Exxon, they actually, in many cases, got more support from shareholders than they had the year before with some of these things that were brought. The report on plastics under the SES scenario was not approved. About 21% voted for it. Last year's support was 25%. The additional social impact report was voted down. Only 7% voted in favor of it. Last year's support was 17% too. So on the directors, it was roughly equal. On average, 95% of the votes casted to reelect those directors. Last year, it was 96% on average. But in some cases, they did see the management win more support. And I think this question of some of these political issues that are brought forward, other issues. How does that play out? How do voters really see it? They also had a huge number of votes. 3.3 billion shares were voted. That's about 84% of outstanding shares. I don't know how that matches up, but that sounds like a high number to me because a lot of times people don't vote their shares.
Exxon, more institutional money than most companies. Tesla, where it's actually the reverse, where it's retail and it's a lot more complicated. That's actually similar. Tesla's probably closer to even the Disney situation in terms of retail. So when you see high numbers for votes on some of the big companies like the energy companies.
I don't know what it is. I'll have to look this up.
There's not as much retail. It's more institutional. McDonald's has a new message for consumers. Our prices aren't that high. That's what they're saying. In an open letter yesterday, McDonald's USA President Joe Erlinger saying that the average price of McDonald's menu items is up around 40% since 2019. He was refuting claims on social media and some from House Republicans that the fast food company had raised prices by more than 100%. He said that it frustrates and worries him when he hears about an $18 Big Mac meal being sold, even if it was at just one location in the U.S. He said the average price of a Big Mac meal today is $9.29, which is up 27% from 2019, but is not up 100% and is certainly not close to $20.
I mean, we had a McDonald's franchisee from California earlier this week.
The margin pressure is extraordinary. It's not just wage. We're talking about massive insurance costs that have gone up in the state of California, if you can get it. Government regulations that sometimes choke the lifeblood and oxygen on a small business entrepreneurship.
2 months ago, California put in a new law for all fast food companies that raised the minimum wage by more than 25% overnight. I think it would probably not be shocking to see much higher prices in some of those locations where they have dealt with laws and regulations that have required them to raise prices. That is also why they're coming up with this $5 value meal that they're going to be offering on their menus later, I think next month, maybe for about a month's time.
What's a Big Mac meal? Is that a
Big Mac fries shaped?
Large fry?
I don't know if it's large fries, Big Mac fries and a
large drink. I think it's large everything. $9.99.
Less than $10.
More than it was.
Yeah, definitely more than it was.
And
McDonald's
but less than 18.
But McDonald's has suffered. They have seen traffic decline, and that's why they're coming up with these value promotions to try and get traffic back in the door.
Cheese will be next.
Next on Squawk Pod, Mary Dillon. Once the CEO of Ulta and the chief marketing officer for McDonald's, she's now heading up Foot Locker. And she's running the company's turnaround plan right alongside trends in the shoe world.
There's basketball and culture basketball. There's absolutely sneakers that are more about comfort and about fashion. So a couple really good examples are Adidas, and the Samba is a pretty global trend right now.
Conversation for sneakerheads and for us Hoka lovers, too.
Something wrong with Hokas?
Nothing wrong with Hokas. I love a Hoka.
We'll be right back. You're listening to Squawk Pod.
You are watching Squawk Box right here on CNBC. I'm Becky Quick along with Joe Kernen and Andrew Ross Sorkin. Shares of Foot Locker rising on better than expected earnings and comp store sales. The retailer also offering an upbeat outlook for the rest of the year. And joining us right now, first on CNBC, is Foot Locker CEO Mary Dillon. You saw the shares up sharply since this. Mary, congratulations. I think the street was looking very closely to see signs of this turnaround that you've been working on pretty hard. What did you see over the course of the quarter?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're really pleased to have a solid start to the year. Our comps and our gross margins in line with expectations, and our EPS ahead of expectations. Importantly, as we went through the quarter, we saw our comps start to improve, strengthen, I would say, from February into March and April, even as we're moderating promotions. So you want to see that. And also globally, our Foot Locker and Kids Foot Locker comp was positive, plus 1%. So feel really good about that. And to me, this is just signs that our lace-up plan is working.
I mean, we're looking at your shares right now up 14%. We just reported Kohl's that came in with disappointing sales, and they said that they had really struggled with both clothing and footwear sales over the course. What did you see with the consumer that other places are missing?
Maybe a couple things. One is that as our lace-up plan is starting to work, a couple of the highlights are we're investing in our brand. You know, Foot Locker is an iconic 50-year-old company and 50-year-old global brand. And so we're investing in our first ever global brand campaign. It's called The Heart of Sneakers, celebrates our stripers, investing in NBA sponsorship, a program called The Clinic in partnership with Nike and Jordan Brand. So those are all things that I think are really bringing currency, relevancy, connection to basketball. Secondly, our brand partnerships are really reinvigorated. Feel very excited about what our brands are offering and our co-marketing. And thirdly, we're improving the customer journey in every step of the way. So from a better digital experience to a better in-store experience. So we're refreshing our fleet over time. And the best expression is a store we just opened up a couple weeks ago here, and it's in Wayne, New Jersey, in the Willowbrook Mall. We opened up a second one of these new stores, a new concept in Paris today in time for the Olympics. And we have 3 more coming. One will be on 34th Street soon. So anyway, so what we're trying to do is really bring together across all the dynamics of the right product assortment, the right marketing, investing in the right customer experience, and it's working right now.
Not too long ago, during the pandemic, people were looking at it and thinking, okay, Foot Locker and other retailers are going to have serious struggles because brands like Nike are going direct to consumer. And that's going to mean that these other stores are less and less relevant. You've talked a lot about building brands. What do you do with those brands? How do you see them as a competitor? How do you see them as a friend and a partner?
Well, first of all, I would say the notion of shopping in-store and online is here to stay, especially for certain consumer categories. So for sneakers at Foot Locker, people love the in-store experience, whether it's trying on a shoe or getting advice from a striper, but also the convenience.
The stripers are the store associates,
our store teams,
because they have striped shirts.
You got it. So for us,
like referees.
Yes, and that is really the heart and soul of our brand. Are really our store team. They really understand and love this category and are really looked at as experts. Listen, Nike is our largest brand partner. We're thrilled about our relationship. I'd say it's reinvigorated in a lot of ways. I was just in Paris at their Innovation Summit. I think they've got some exciting things today and coming in the future as we get into the Olympics and into next year. I'm wearing the new DN shoe, the Air Max DN, in a beautiful colorway. It's a wonderful shoe. So, I don't
think we can get it unless you throw your foot up on the.
Well, I could do that if you guys want me to. I mean, I've done crazier things here before. But, listen, we are really a house of brands. Our customers care about having access to the best in the sneaker world. And so Nike, feel great about our partnership. Even, like I said, this program called The Clinic, which is all about basketball. But, there's a lot of exciting innovation happening. Adidas, a global trend that's happening around fashion and around the T-toe, or I guess I would call it the Samba. The nickname is the T-toe. We have a program right now that's really about showing people how they can dress from the sneaker up. New Balance is on fire. People really looking for that heritage lifestyle running kind of look, Hoka and On. So there's a lot of innovation. And our job really is to bring it forth for our brand partners in the best way to our customers. And we have a unique customer group. We've got a young, diverse, trend-setting group, and I think that matters for our brands.
Why are you so confident about what you see with the consumer for the rest of the year? There have been so many questions about the consumer. Other places where they're like, we don't know if the consumer will hang in there. You are actually looking at saying you're going to have positive comps for the year, up 1 to 3%.
We're guiding 1 to 3% positive comps. So let me just kind of parse that apart. The customer has been under pressure, so there's no question about that. Prolonged inflation, interest rates that affects everything from your house payment to your student loan payment. Less savings, right? So that's all true, but people tend to have discretionary categories that they care about. So if you care about sneakers, our job is to offer up the best in the best way. People, if you care about sneakers, you're really into sneakers. If you care about beauty, you're really into beauty. So what we have seen is that our customers are willing to pay full price. They're going to be really picky about when they spend their money and how. But for the right products at the right time, Mother's Day, Father's Day, back to school, holiday, we're seeing our customers respond. So we also have several things coming still that we think help support why we believe we can grow, in our control. So we've got we're relaunching our loyalty program, FLX, to make it much broader and more appealing. And loyalty programs are really important. We're launching a new mobile app to make it really that much easier to connect with us. We're going to continue refreshing stores, and our brands have lots of innovation coming. So we put that all together, and we feel good about the guidance, and we'll watch the customer, but we think we've got the right things at the right time for them.
No, when she...
Questions?
No, you could... I used to sell shoes. So those are the shoes that you could put out on display, and they fit on you, I see. In other words, they'd never put your shoes out because it'd be like no one would buy those gondolas if you put those in. What are those? Size? Are your size?
Okay.
Are your size 7, 6.5?
This is an 8. 8. 6.5 in men's, 8 in women's.
Okay. You know what I mean? So you don't want.
I'm 11.5, 12, depending.
Listen,
on
they do not put. That's why you can go in and say, "Wow, I like the looks," and then they bring it out for you, and it's like, "Oh my God, I'm going to steal these."
That's fine. But listen, I know he loves sneakers.
I love sneakers. I love sneakers. I have a slightly different question, which is.
We're
talking about Nike,
right?
Adidas, On, Hoka. Is there a different margin for each of those shoes? Meaning, do some of those companies come to you and say, "I'll sell you the shoe, but you're going to have to take, only X."
Listen, we don't disclose what our terms are with our brand partners, but listen, we feel very good about it. I mean, obviously, there's a range of price points even within what we sell, right? So we manage that. We manage that to make sure it's the right offering at the right price for our guests, and we manage the margin structure across the total business.
Is there one brand right now that you think? I know they're all your children or your friends or your frenemies or whatever it is, but is there anybody you like? Okay. Watch this space. These guys are doing something very interesting right now.
I really do think there's a lot happening across a lot of spaces. So
it's all our kids.
Nike really, and Jordan brand and basketball, there's a lot happening there. Basketball and culture of basketball. So AJ1, Air Force One, those are really marquee items for us. But the book one.
Do you think that
the one I told you about that's coming in a couple weeks, the Kobe Pro
how about this then? Do you think that what I describe as the fashion sneaker?
Yeah, so I'm getting to that. So I would say
going to be shifting. Have we gotten out of everybody was wearing the Nike Dunks, and that was like a fashion thing.
Yeah.
And the question is, does that last or does fashion change?
Yeah, so there's basketball and culture basketball. There's absolutely sneakers that are more about comfort and about fashion. So a couple really good examples are Adidas, and the Samba is a pretty global trend right now that is really connected to fashion in a lot of ways. It's also connected to the heritage of soccer. New Balance, 2000s running, as we call it, heritage running, coming back. So there is honestly something for everybody. And what we're on a mission to unlock the inner sneakerhead in everybody. So this isn't just about, I know you love sneakers, you probably have a collection at home, I'm guessing, and that's great, and we cater to those customers, but we're also saying, how can we invite in, more women, more people for different parts, expand your sneaker wardrobe, I like to call it. So they're all great.
You have a collection?
I'm into sneakers.
Yeah.
How many do you have?
I don't know.
See, when they say I don't know, that means a lot.
I have a lot
That's what it means.
I have a lot of sneakers.
You take more space than your wife does in your closet.
I have a lot of Travis Scott Nikes that I love. Those are.
You have 10 pair?
10 pairs of sneakers?
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, that's very low, I'm
That'd
sure.
be at least, I would think.
That would be the least.
They're light. Why don't?
He probably
what's
has
wrong with
100.
them? Something wrong with Hokas?
Nothing wrong with Hokas. I love a Hoka.
Yeah, they're very light.
Not attractive, but they're the fact. I
think
wear them
they're-
all the time.
They're
I think they're
attractive.
great.
They're not attractive.
They're not attractive.
Not
but they're
really.
They're worth it.
Oh, I don't know
You
if
think
they're not
they're
attractive.
attractive?
I have
They're
3 pairs
doing
of them.
great. And, you know, we have Hoka in some of our doors, not all, but
by the way, I'm
great shoe
constantly
for
running
women.
around in Hokas.
Yeah.
But that's not a Hoka's not a collector shoe.
It's not a fashion statement.
But again, so unlocking the inner
Utility.
sneakerhead for
That's the
everybody. So
utility
there's
of it.
something
For your
for everybody at
knees.
Foot Locker.
You buy the Hokas for your
I
knees.
just buy. That's the only reason I buy any of them is to run on a treadmill.
Right.
I'm getting yelled at
You're the
because we
active
keep
athlete.
talking.
We're going to call you the active athlete. And that's a category
that
that
might
we...
be overstating things.
Mary, we always love having you in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, the Wall Street Journal scoop that we're all talking about. Donald Trump considering an advisory role for Elon Musk if he wins the presidency. What's driving the potential alliance, and how sure are we about the courtship? The reporter who broke the story joins us, Emily Glazer.
There's a sense that it may not fully materialize, and also Donald has to win the presidency first. But it was not just a random aside. This is something that they talked about, Trump and Musk. It wasn't just something someone else threw out there.
Squawk Pod will be right back. Welcome back to Squawk Pod from CNBC with Joe Kernen, Andrew Ross Sorkin, and Becky Quick. Here's Andrew.
A new piece in the Wall Street Journal detailing the growing alliance between former President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Join us right now on the set, Wall Street Journal reporter Emily Glazer, who co-authored that story. It has gone viral. Everybody's talking about it. Tell us what you know about what you think is really happening here in terms of this relationship, and whether he's going to have this true special advisory role. How much of that is Elon Musk wanting that in your mind, or how much of that is a Donald Trump and Ike Perlmutter and Nelson Peltz and Carl Icahn and that whole troupe wanting that?
Well, Andrew, it's an election year, so that means alliances get reformed or come together when people want something. And so we know that Donald Trump has dangled this special advisor role to Elon Musk. It could be around the economy, it can be around border security, both issues that Elon has been extremely vocal about. We know they talked about it. We know they talked about it at Nelson Peltz's oceanfront estate in Palm Beach back in March. And while it isn't fully hammered out yet, it's something that could happen should Trump win the presidency.
But so here's the question about how much of this was a just thrown out idea. How much of this was discussed prior to the breakfast? I'm just trying to understand whether this was just a sort of random thought that Donald Trump threw out there, whether this was something that Ike threw out there, this was something that Nelson Peltz said, hey, Donald, you should make him the special advisor, and that's what we're talking about, or we're talking about something much more serious?
So obviously we can't reveal our sources, but the Wall Street Journal wouldn't write an article if we didn't think it was something legitimate that was there. With any of these things, just like if a deal might be talked about, there's a sense that it may not fully materialize. And also Donald has to win the presidency first. But it was not just a random aside. This is something that they talked about, Trump and Musk. It wasn't just something someone else threw out there.
Right.
They talked about where Musk could have influence. That could be around border security. It wasn't just like, oh, special advisor, go take this and let's all be happy and sing Kumbaya together. So we know that there were discussions about it. We know it's still out there as a possibility.
Right. And what do we think from the Elon Musk side? So I gather, I can see why Donald Trump would like this to be out there. Elon Musk has been vociferous, obviously, in his frustrations, let's say, with President Biden, but has been unwilling, at least so far, to endorse a candidate. Has said that he may not endorse a candidate. Has been kind of reluctant to do that. This would be, I mean, this unto itself is almost a stealth endorsement. The story reads like a stealth endorsement.
So he has not gone so far as endorsing Donald Trump, you're right. However, Elon Musk is part of this influence campaign that we heard about, where he is co-hosting along with Nelson Peltz, David Sachs, part of the PayPal mafia, these dinners.
Let me ask you about this. How much do you think this is driven by Nelson Peltz and David Sachs and that troupe that are having these dinners, and Elon, you know, is being asked to come to them? And how much of this is being driven by Elon Musk saying, hey, David Sachs and Nelson Peltz, I want you to set up this dinner, and I'm going to co-host it, and you guys are going to show up to my dinner. Do you see that?
Yeah,
there's a big difference, and I think people need to understand what's going on here.
I think that's a fair point. If Elon had not co-hosted the April dinner with David Sachs atop the Hollywood Hills, if he were just a random guest, I see your point, and that might have been the case at this March breakfast gathering in Palm Beach, where he brought his son. Barron Trump was there. Nelson Peltz's son was there. But the fact that Elon co-hosted the April gathering, to me, shows a marked difference.
He said, I think he did say, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden. Did he not?
No, he's officially been out saying that he's not voting for Biden. But he may not vote for anybody. Exactly. But he hasn't said that he wants to. He has not said, please go out and vote for Trump. And he's had lots of issues with President Trump over the years.
Absolutely. So I was just looking back. 2 years ago, he was saying Trump sail off into the sunset. You know, they were trading barbs all the time. Trump called him a BS artist. So it's not like these two have been friendly all these years. And Elon left the advisory council.
Did you watch, I'm sure in your reporting for this article, you watched it, the interview with Don Lemon?
Yes.
Okay. So what's so interesting to me, and this is why I was trying to understand what was really going on.
Yes.
The interview with Don Lemon, he's asked about that breakfast.
Right. And he swung by.
Very straight up, he said, swung by, and then almost derisively suggests, Trump would talk about what Trump would talk about. He was being asked, but almost in a sort of like, this guy talks too much. I don't really love Trump to begin with. I mean, it was not by the way, I really like this guy. I want to be his. Clearly not. I want to be his advisor. It was almost like, I think he's a crazy person, and I just happen to be at the breakfast.
So agree with you. Watch that interview, of course. But that's where I think there was this change to then Elon co-hosting this sort of secretive, what it was called an anti-Biden dinner. And there we know that attendees talked about how can we financially give to Donald Trump without the public knowing. And so I think things are changing. And we also know that more dinners are planned going forward, including with Musk.
He doesn't want to admit it?
I think that everyone, and by everyone I mean Donald Trump and Elon Musk, both don't want to fully show their cards. They could both get a lot out of this potential alliance. Trump needs voters. He needs money. Elon wants influence. He's got 6 companies.
How much, though, do you believe that Elon might be in the almost the Bill Ackman camp? And I think Bill Ackman has a view. I think it's a bit of a fever dream, but a view that somehow if you criticize President Biden enough, that maybe somehow magically Joe Biden will say, you know what, I'm not going to run for president anymore. And by the way, maybe Gavin Newsom or somebody else should take my spot. That it's not an endorsement of President Trump, but it's this idea that somehow some unicorn is going to emerge. That is going to.
The whole Democratic Party is leaving that as a possibility. That's why the debate is so early. The problem the Democratic Party has is you'd have to let Kamala have her shot, and they don't want to let Kamala have her shot.
So I would say this on Elon Musk. I don't think he's waiting for that kind of pipe dream, because he has made it very clear that he does not support Democrats anymore and that he's voting Republican. Whether that now he's not saying I'm voting for Donald Trump, but he's still saying that he doesn't support Democrats, and his politics have really shifted over the years. And now he really has moved more right-leaning. He's donated, up to about 50,000 publicly, but he's donated smaller amounts to both Democrats and Republicans over the years. But in the last 2 years ago, he's really more of a Republican, and he said it.
Is there ways to track down how much people donate at this point? It's so complicated.
Well, so this is where we get in, dark money is called dark money for a reason. So we looked at Federal Election Commission filings. That's where it's public, and you can actually see, okay, Elon Musk donated $5,000 to the NRCC, $3,000 to, this Democratic candidate. But super PACs, which is where billionaires usually play, is when it's not tracked. And so you can't really say, you don't really know who's giving what and how much.
Right. Emily, thank you for coming in. It's
Thank you.
a fascinating story.
That's the podcast for today. Thank you for tuning in. Squawk Box is hosted by Joe Kernen, Becky Quick, and Andrew Ross Sorkin weekday mornings on CNBC starting at 6 a.m. Eastern. You can catch them there live, or you can tune into Squawk Pod right here to get the smartest takes and analysis from that TV show right into your ears. Make sure you follow us wherever you're listening now, and come back tomorrow. We'll be here. Have a great day.
We are clear. Thanks, guys.